Do you know how one man took power with a gun and passed it to his son like a family farm? Let me tell you everything, step by step, from the very beginning. From the father, Gnassingbé Eyadéma, to the son, Faure Gnassingbé, and how the country of Togo is still trapped today under their control, with the help of a powerful friend, France. This is not just the story of one country, it is the story of Africa, the story of betrayal, the story of neo-colonialism, the story of silence and resistance. Let's begin. Once upon a time, there was a young Togolese man named Etienne Eyadéma. He was born in 1935 in a small village called Pia in the north of Togo. At that time, Togo was under French colonial rule. It was not free. France controlled everything: land, law, money, and even the people's lives. When Eyadéma became old enough, the French army came calling. Like many other young African men, he was recruited into the colonial army. Not by choice, but by pressure. He fought for France in Vietnam, the Indochina War, and in Algeria, two places where people were fighting to escape French control. So Eyadéma learned war. He learned how to obey France. He learned how to use fear and power, and when he came back to Togo, he brought those lessons with him. In 1960, Togo gained independence. The first elected president was a man named Sylvanus Olympio. Olympio wanted Togo to stand on its own. He wanted real freedom, not just in name, but in reality. One of the first things Olympio did was refuse to allow colonial soldiers into the new national army. He believed that men trained by France might not be loyal to the people of Togo. This made many people angry, especially those ex-soldiers like Eyadéma. Then came the turning point. On January 13th, 1963, just 3 years after independence, Togo faced Africa's first military coup. A group of soldiers attacked the presidential palace. They killed Olympio, the man who had tried to make Togo truly independent. Eyadéma later admitted that he shot Olympio himself. He said it proudly, as if he had done something great. But what he really did was kill the dream of a free Togo. After Olympio was murdered, Nicolas Grunitzky became president. But he was weak. He was trying to satisfy everyone, France, the army, and the people. He could not control the situation. Eyadéma, meanwhile, was climbing the military ladder. By 1967, he was one of the most powerful men in the country. He launched another coup d'etat, this time to remove Grunitzky. And he succeeded. That same year, Eyadéma made himself president. Then he banned all political parties except his own, the RPT, Rally of the Togolese People. He gave himself full power. He arrested people who disagreed with him. Some were sent to jail, others disappeared. He ruled like a king. For 38 years, Eyadéma stayed in power. He built statues of himself. He made songs and poems about himself. He made people fear him, and he used the army to stay in control. Togo was no longer a free country. It was the private property of one man. But Eyadéma was not done yet. He wanted to turn his rule into a dynasty, like a royal family. So he began preparing his son, Faure Gnassingbé, to take over one day. He sent Faure to study in France and the United States. He gave him big jobs in government, like Minister of Public Works and Minister of Finance. He surrounded Faure with trusted people. He wanted Togo to accept Faure as the next ruler, and sadly that's what happened. In February 2005, Eyadéma died suddenly while flying abroad. The constitution said that the Speaker of Parliament should become interim president. But the military didn't care. They immediately installed Faure Gnassingbé as president. No election, no respect for the law, just power. There was international outrage. Even the African Union protested. Faure stepped down for a short while, but it was just for show. A few months later, in April 2005, new elections were held. Faure won. But everyone knew it was not free or fair. The opposition was silenced. The military was on the streets. More than 500 people died in the violence that followed. It was another coup, just one covered in the mask of democracy. Faure ruled quietly for many years. Like his father, he didn't allow strong opposition. He kept tight control over the military. He made promises of development, but poverty stayed the same. Then came 2019. The Constitution of Togo said that no president could serve more than 2 terms. Faure had already served since 2005, 14 years. He should have stepped down. Instead, he changed the constitution again. He reset the term limit, like pressing restart on a game. His past years in power were now ignored. This meant he could run again in 2020, and even in 2025. And that's exactly what he did. He won again in 2020, in another election filled with complaints of fraud. The people were getting tired, angry, hopeless, but the worst was yet to come. In 2024, Faure made another move, one that shocked the whole country. He said Togo would change its system of government. Instead of a presidential system, it would become a parliamentary system. The role of president would become less important. But a new, stronger position would be created. President of the Council of Ministers. And who would take that job? Faure himself. This new position would not be elected by the people. It would be chosen by Parliament, a parliament that Faure and his party already controlled. This was a silent trick, a quiet coup. No guns, no tanks, just fake paperwork, fake democracy, and real betrayal. The people of Togo had had enough. From 2024 to 2025, the streets of Lomé and other cities were filled with protests. Students marched. Women cried out. Workers, teachers, farmers, even school children demanded one thing: Faure must go. But the response from the government was brutal. Police used tear gas, rubber bullets, and even live bullets. Some people were beaten, others were jailed. A few were killed, and their bodies were found floating in lakes or rivers. Instead of listening, the government tried to silence the country. They blocked Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp. They cut off the internet in some places. They banned international news channels like France 24 and RFI. They wanted to hide the truth. But brave citizens still posted photos. They still told the world what was happening. And still, the protests grew. Out of this pain, a new group was born. A youth movement called Touché pas à ma constitution, which means hands off my constitution. These were young men and women, mostly in their 20s. They used posters, social media, street graffiti, and peaceful marches. They knew they were risking their lives, but they did it anyway, because they believed in something greater than fear, freedom. But behind all this, behind Faure, behind the police, behind the silence, there is another force: France. France has supported the Gnassingbé family for over 50 years. When Eyadéma ruled with an iron fist, France looked away, because they got what they wanted. When Faure broke the constitution in 2005, France stayed silent, because their businesses were safe. France gets phosphate, cement, gold, and other minerals from Togo. They control the currency through the CFA franc. They have military influence in the region. They don't want a leader who questions them. They want a puppet, and Faure plays that role perfectly. This is called neo-colonialism. The chains are gone, but the control is still there. The French flag is no longer on the buildings, but French hands are still in the country's pockets. Togo is rich in minerals, phosphate used for farming. limestone and marble used for cement and construction, gold, iron ore, bauxite, and more. But these resources don't help the people. They help foreign companies and a small group of elites around Faure. The people are still poor, still jobless, still hungry. This is not just political pain, this is economic robbery. So what comes next? The best hope is that Faure steps down peacefully, that real elections are held, that a new leader, chosen by the people, takes charge. The worst fear is more violence, more arrests, more people dying while the world looks away. But one thing is certain, the people of Togo will not be silent forever. They have tasted truth, they have seen the light, and they are rising. For too long, Togo has been ruled by one family, backed by a foreign power. From Eyadéma, the soldier, to Faure, the manipulator, they turned a republic into a royal court. But no matter how deep the silence, the truth will rise. From the blood of President Olympio to the chants of youth in the streets today, the fire still burns. Togo will rise. Africa will remember. And the world must choose a side, silence or justice. This is the story they tried to hide. But we will not be silent. We are Black Stories Untold. And if you believe in justice, truth, and African freedom, subscribe now to Black Stories Untold. Let's expose the lies. Let's honor the dead. Let's fight for the living. Because the story of Togo is the story of us all.